Aurelien Degremont. Take it away, Phil.
Thank you. Hello, everybody. As Steve said, I'm Aurelien Degremont from CEA. This year I wanted to present you ROBINHOOD. It's a tool which is quite known in the community, but which was never really presented at LUG. It is often, there is a lot of confusion regarding Lustre HSM project, which is used, where ROBINHOOD is used in. So I wanted to have something clear about that. So today I will not really talk about Lustre HSM regarding ROBINHOOD, just quickly. I want to show you all the other features which are available with ROBINHOOD and absolutely not related to Lustre HSM, because originally it was not designed for that at first. So the main idea behind ROBINHOOD is to be able to take all information from the file system, mostly metadata, and put this in a database, and be able, after that, to query the database to get a lot of informations or taking actions. So the main idea is scan sometimes or never if you're using changelogs, and query it as often as you need. When you are doing this kind of things, usually you own your own script using find or LFS find for Lustre, which is more powerful, but not as fast. If you need to do several queries, you need to run it a couple of times, and as file systems are becoming bigger and bigger, it takes a lot of times. So thanks to ROBINHOOD, everything will be put in a database, and we can query and take a lot of and do a lot of very interesting stuff with that. So regarding the way we need to feed the database, so the database in ROBINHOOD is MySQL currently, and there is two ways to feed it. So the simplest way is just to scan the file systems, like for any POSIX file system. In fact, ROBINHOOD can support any POSIX file system. We are using it for other file systems than Lustre, by example. And this is mandatory for Lustre 1.8. Because Lustre 1.8 does not support changelogs. This feature, which was introduced in Lustre 2, is really useful for ROBINHOOD. For those who don't know changelogs, it's a mechanism in Lustre. We will trigger events telling every changes which is happening in mostly in the namespace, not really related to, not exactly all of the data, but mainly rename, creates, and so on. Sorry.
Hey, the technical working group is meeting in 15 minutes.
How do you remove this? That way? No.
Is Carrier here?
And after.
Dylan?
And how do you put full screen?
Try Command F.
Command F.
No, that's fine.
Okay.
Sorry.
And so with changelogs, you only need to scan your file system once to initialize the database. And if you start ROBINHOOD with a new file system, you don't need to scan at all. And after that, ROBINHOOD will read the changelogs to keep the database up to date in mostly real time. Some people ask me if it was safe and easy to deploy ROBINHOOD. It's easy. There is RPMs available if you are using the standard Lustre distribution, but there is one bug up to Lustre 2.1 regarding statuette feature in Lustre. Code was changed in Lustre 2.2, I think, and and you need to disable it because Robinhood is doing a lot of stat, and so it will trigger this bug eventually. But apart of that, it's fine and it's easy to deploy. So we get a database with mostly of all information about the file system, the files, their size, their owners, and stuff like that. So in the latest Robinhood version 2.4, we added 2 clones for very common from Unix, which is find and du. So using RBH find, you can query the database and do like any find. The syntax is really the same, and it's really fast, really much more faster than doing a find or LFS find. And you can do this as many times as you want. And so here it was 20 seconds for 40 million files, so this is quite good. And we also have a du command, which is working like the du command, but there is also additional options. We can give you some details. By example, here the different results are splitted by file type, symlink, etc. And you can see the size and the space used and so on. We can also have a lot of statistics using RBH report. You can split it by group, by type of files. There is a very interesting feature. I will talk about it after that. It's average size per users per group. By example, here you can see that for only one user, we've got this is usage splitted by the different groups he has. You can also see the top users and top directories, so it's easy to track who is consuming a lot of space in the file system, by example. So here is you can also check by number of files, so it's by count. You can also check by size. There is a lot of other options, so this is very useful for us to track bad users, which is consuming too many data, or maybe not really using the file system the way we like them to use it, depending on the number of files. By example, here we've got the average size, so you can check if the user is doing a lot of small files, which is not really good in Lustre for performances. And we can even extend this feature with size profiling. So it should be difficult for you to read it, but here we've got for your user foo, we have the number of files splitted by different class of file size, starting from 0 and a few bytes, few K, a few megabytes, up to more than 1 terabyte. So this could give you some kind of profile to see how if your user is doing something really interesting. So maybe this could be interesting maybe for the benchmark working group. We were talking about that yesterday, to have a profile available. So here's by users, but you can have it for the whole file system. And you can have only a detail here if you want. Here we are querying the top users, having file between 1 and 32 meg, so we can see who is having very small files. And Robinhood has also a web interface to have access to all this information, which is very it's nice and it's easy to use, and so you can have such kind of graph for slash profiling, by example. So for the whole file system, per user or per group, and also this kind of other charts, which is interesting. So this was for the statistics aspect for Robinhood, but there is a lot of other features. Really interesting is actions and applying policies. So with Robinhood, admins, so not users, can define rules, policies. that will be used to manage the file systems. So there is already several built-in policies, purging, so removing file, removing directories, mostly tree removal, in fact. You can also archive, which means copying, like backup. It's also used for HSM, indeed, but as you have seen for a lot of other features. The policy definition are really flexible. You can use a lot of different file attributes to write them, and using Boolean operators. So here, by example, we see that we can define a first file class, big log files. So using the file type, the size, different path to create a list of files. And after that, this class could be applied to different policies. So here's the purge policy, where we are telling that every file which is in this file class, which has not been modified for 15 days, will be removed. There is some features to whitelist files. You are sure you never want to be removed in your file class, but you can put as many policies and file class you want, and have the very complex ones. And this applies to all the policies I've presented just above. Here is different use cases as example of how ROBINHOOD could be useful. So managing file lifetime, mainly it's cleaning temporary data for scratch file system in Lustre. It's very common. So you can have different rules to clean a file which is not needed after a code run, by example, after simulation. So in this case, the lifetime will be different. So you use different rules. You can also clean all the carriers tickets, logs, dumps, and so on. So for managing and cleaning, this is interesting. ROBINHOOD is also tracking how space is used in OSTs and in the whole file system. And the purge policy is really useful for that if you have a scratch, still for a scratch directory, because you can keep track of who is consuming space in some specific OSTs. And in this case, ROBINHOOD could be used to automatically remove files which are consuming space only on those OSTs. And so you don't have to remove the other the files on other OSTs because it is not, so it's quite easy. You've got several thresholds. You've got a high threshold, and once the space is above it, it will remove files that is needed to be below the low threshold. There is also features for fair share, which is not exactly quotas, but it looks like. So you can define max usage per user or per group, and ROBINHOOD can monitor this usage, and as ROBINHOOD cannot enforce quotas inside Lustre, here he will, by example, trigger some policies, but you can also trigger emails to these users to tell them they are above those threshold. And you can have something really, really precise regarding group and users. One of the other policies is the archiving policy. So this is used for copying data only. So as a backup or as rsync, by example. So it is policy driven, so you can put whatever rules you want to tell this data need to be copied before that one, this one is more important than the others, etc. And so ROBINHOOD is keeping track of which data has been copied and which data has not, and if file is modified in Lustre, he will try to copy them again, etc. He can control the number of copy you are doing and the volume and so on. And you can also, thanks to this, doing some kind of undelete feature. because when you are removing a file in Lustre, ROBINHOOD will not automatically remove it in the archive system, and you will have a delay to restore it if the users require it, by example. So ROBINHOOD is also used for Lustre HSM. So as the Lustre HSM feature required to remove space in Lustre and also copy them in the backend and monitor all this kind of stuff. So it's quite the same, but used slightly differently. But instead of purge policy, you will have release disk space policies. Archiving will be quite the same. And so you will be able to have this kind of graph to know what has been migrated, what is only in the HSM and still visible in Lustre, but not the data are no more there, and the new data are there, for example. And this is useful for disaster recovery. So we've got new features which are not yet there but will be available soon. So one is disaster recovery. So by example, you will be able to snapshot the MDT, which is common in Lustre right now, and ROBINHOOD will still be up to date in this database following changelogs. And if something happens, you will be able to restore your MDT snapshot, and ROBINHOOD will try to replay what has been lost since the last snapshot using two different tools which will be available with RBH diff, RBH apply. So RBH diff will be generating a kind of diff, a patch between what is in the DB and what is in the file system. And with apply, you can try to go one way or the other way, depending what you want to do. And there will be new policies which will be available using things like what we have seen before, LFS migrate. It will be possible to do rebalancing and migrating file between OSTs. Instead of monitoring copy and archiving, it will be monitoring this kind of command. And at the end, we will even have generic policies where you will be able to put whatever command, external command you want to apply for any files, depending on the rules you will have written. And so, by example, this will be able to do some scrubbing for data or metadata or whatever you want to do. And we will be also working on some distributed database aspects, because currently in ROBINHOOD, the most important point for scaling is the database. ROBINHOOD by itself, it's scaling quite well, the database, which is more difficult. And we'd like also to turn into a framework, having public APIs and plugins to be able to write your own new policies, your new rules, your new stats, whatever you want. So the current latest Ruby version is 2.4.2. It's enabled on SourceForge. It's open source. You can check the website, the mailing list if you have any questions. There is documentations, RPMs. What is needed is there. Thank you. Do you have questions?
Questions for Aurelien? I've got a question. So how many people are using it now?
We don't know exact numbers. We know there is several computing centers in Europe. There is also some of them in USA. How many is difficult to say, but I don't know.
More than 10, less than 50?
I would say in between more than 20, I think. People don't report exactly, so we just know when there is some emails. Oh, okay, this who's NOAA in USA, for example, is in it. I saw Brewaters are working on it. Others, I don't know exactly, but quite a lot.
I suppose this question may very well be answered in the manual, in the documentation that's out there, but just based on the examples I saw. Do you have, does the RBH find and DU have the ability to give you OST specific output at the command line? Or do you have to have use another method of going through ROBINHOOD to find that information? I mean, I know it's there based on some of your slides, but can you use RBH find similar to how you would use LFS find to see OST specific?
There is several OST specific feature, but I'm not sure which one you want to check.
Like if I wanted to know how much data a particular user was
on a
using on an
specific
OST, I know I can do that with LFS find. Can I do that with RBH find?
I think so, but I think it could be good to check. There is a couple of people which is even doing his own SQL queries directly in the database. As you said, indeed, all information already there. So if it's not possible, you can own your own query, but I think it should be. But I don't know. I don't remember all the different parameters.
I mean, I could certainly run RBH find, then an LFS find, so I don't have to scan the whole file system, but it would be nice if it was there if it isn't.
Should be possible.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.